Hi, good morning. Good morning from the Glide Sanctuary. Before I get started, I want to just pause and say I want to dedicate this morning's teaching to the memories of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and every African American victim of racial terrorism. So I started working here at Glide 3 years ago. In the first 5 weeks that I was here, I was commuting from my house on a hill in Marin
Rabbi,
County with a
good
gorgeous.
to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We have a global audience today, so they are all waiting to hear from you, and just want to turn it over to you.
Can you guys hear me? I'm going to pretend I'm not getting feedback from you, so I'm going to continue going. Hopefully you're catching me. I started here at Glide 3 years ago, commuted in my first 5 weeks that I was here from a house on a hill in Marin County with an insanely beautiful view uh, of, of a gorgeous mountain where the deers came and pranced by my house, and mountain bikers mountain biked, where 90% of the people in Marin County are white. And I commuted from that house here to Ellis Street, ground zero of American racial and economic devastation, in a city where 5% of the population is African American, and where 36% of the population of the homeless population is African American, where rampant third world poverty abuts plutocratic wealth. For the first time ever, I saw someone injecting drugs in my life. And on one of my first days when I was here, I walked past a man who was sitting on a stool, drooling all over himself. And it was a brutal scene. I wondered to myself, why are my tax dollars not paying for this man to have a home, to have a meal? I can't take it. I thought to myself, I'm not going to be able to make it. So I went to see Glide's executive director, Rita Shimon. I said, Rita, it's really brutal out there. And she said, Michael, I know it's hard sometimes here in the Tenderloin. Sometimes I got to take a walk. Sometimes I've got to get a drink. And then she looked at me and she said, how do you know you're not still the face of God? I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to stay. So I get to work at this most amazing place called Glide. Uh, it's a justice juggernaut, redemption factory here in the middle of San Francisco. And even in the middle of the pandemic, we're serving 2,200 meals a day. Our harm reduction program gives out close to 1.5 million needles to people wrestling with addiction. We have an alternative to incarceration program. I work in the Center for Social Justice here at Glide. I want to tell you about two of the programs that I oversee. The first one is a program called An Officer and a Mensch, where we train police officers and districts from around the country to de-escalate situations non-violently, how to show up with more love and more compassion in their work. We make them wait in line, out of uniform, in our food line. I help them imagine that this was their bedroom, the Glide is their dining room. We serve meals. On the first morning that I ran the program, it was the morning after a young African-American man, Stephon Clark, was shot 22 times in his grandmother's backyard in West Sacramento. That morning when I was teaching, the DA, the district attorney from that county, was sitting on the Glide pulpit with me, and we were studying Genesis 1:27, which teaches about how all human beings are created in the image of God. The second program, which I oversee, I run our annual Alabama Justice Pilgrimage. We take 100 plus tech and civic and healthcare leaders from around the country on a 5-day justice pilgrimage to Alabama. We visit primarily the Equal Justice Initiative's Legacy Museum, which connects the dots from slavery to mass incarceration to the mass in poverty outside the door, the windows behind me, and a memorial, the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, which remembers 4,400 known African-American victims of racial terror lynching. It is a haunting and deeply transformative journey we take together. I got a million more stories to tell you, a million, and I hope for that opportunity. But for right now, I want to close with a vision for where our communities and for where this blessed yet deeply bruised country of ours might head. So 3+ years ago, I took my teenage daughters to go see the 30th anniversary of U2's Joshua Tree tour. I went while I was interviewing here at Glide. It was a heavenly night. my favorite album of all time. In the middle of the song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Bono looks out at 70,000 fans and he says, let's turn this place into Glide. I want to give a very special welcome to the Reverend Cecil Williams, who helped found Glide here with his wife, Janice Mirkatani. I thought, maybe I should take the job. What did Bono when he said, let's turn this place into Glide? I think he meant that we need to retrain ourselves to show up with unconditional love in every arena. That we need to turn our houses and our cities, and yes, this country of ours, into Glide, into places over with unconditional love and hope and a bedrock belief in people's capacities to heal and change. You and me, I think we can don what I call Glide goggles every morning. These Glide goggles point us to possibility. They summon us to responsibility. They remind us that healing our homes and our streets and our country is in our hands. There's power on this call. Look around the screen. You and me, we have power. Moral power, financial, civic, corporate, spiritual, relational power. I've got just one question for you. How are we going to use our power regularly and reliably to heal this blessed and bruised country of ours? It's our time. Thank you.